Hello, everybody. Welcome to Top Hat Productions, Straight from the Heart. I'm Minister Charles Nolan, and we have a lot of news to go over today because we want to separate the hoaxes from the facts. And most of the media is trying to tell hoaxes, and they don't want it fact checked. They just want to do the fact checking and say their fact checking is correct, and in fact, it's not. Anyway, I highly recommend that you keep the news on and watch what's going on with the news, because the only way you're going to know what's happening is if you continue to watch the news and see what they're doing. And that's what I do. That's Fox Now's Live Now in the background there, and I highly encourage you to check it out and watch it when you can, and you will be brought up to date. And it is free if you have the internet, and you can get it off of Sling. Anyway, that is what I have to say about that. But that's not the reason I have you here today. Today I have you here because I want to read to you. Oh my God, there's so much to read. It's just unbelievable. You're going to be exhausted by just your ears are going to need a break. 100 Days of Hoaxes, Cutting Through the Fake News. The White House, April 29th, 2025. That's the date that this was all put together. Since President Donald J. Trump, let me see if I can get this right, and you can even have that in the background. Since President Donald J. Trump took office 100 days ago, it has been a nonstop deluge of hoaxes and lies from Democrats and their allies in the fake news, suffering from terminal cases of Trump derangement syndrome. You've heard of that, I'm sure. In no particular order, here are some of the most outrageous hoaxes peddled by the usual suspects so far in President Trump's second term. Hoax. Fake news. CNN, who would have thought, attempted to fact check President Trump's claim that the Biden administration spent millions on making mice transgender. Fact. After their so-called fact check was thoroughly debunked, they were forced to update it in disgrace and admit the claim was, in fact, true. Hoax. The fake news claimed the Department of Defense removed General Colin Powell's name from a list of notable Americans buried at Arlington Cemetery. Fact. No service members' names were removed from that section, and General Powell's name remains among those listed. Hoax. Representative Eric Swalwell, Democrat from California, claimed no president presided over more plane crashes during their first month in office as President Trump. Fact, there were 55 aviation accidents in the U.S. between Biden's inauguration on January 21st, 2021 and February 17th, 2021, compared to 35 during the same period for Trump, Fox News reported. Hoax. Governor J.B. Pritzker, Democrat, Illinois, and Chicago Public Schools officials claimed, without bothering to verify, that ICE agents had conducted a raid at an elementary school, a false claim echoed by media outlets, including the Chicago Tribune. Fact, it was actually the U.S. Secret Service investigating a threat unrelated to immigration. Hoax. Far-left influencers and other leftists falsely claimed the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, we all love Doge, and Elon Musk were out to cut Social Security. Ooh, no, really, he wasn't out to cut Social Security. It's just the way fake news tries to report these things. It's unreal. I don't even know how they get away with it. It's disgusting, and I wish they could be shut down or fined ridiculous fines so they'd have to stop the lies. It's not to control speech, it's to stop lying. I mean, come on. Is it fair that they can lie about anything they want? It doesn't seem so. The fact is that they were referencing an interview in which Musk was clearly referring to the tremendous amount of waste, fraud, and abuse within entitlement programs. He wasn't talking about cutting them. He was talking about the waste, fraud, and abuse within the entitlement programs. Hoax. The media smeared Doge as young, inexperienced engineers engineering a government takeover. Fact. In reality, Doge is led by seasoned industry professionals, including successful CEOs who paused their lives to aid in the effort of streamlining government and holding the bureaucracy accountable. Let me see. Donald Trump gave up his wealthy billionaire lifestyle, which he could be anywhere he wants, playing golf anywhere in the world, and relaxing and chilling with his wife and family, to be the president of the United States because he saw the need for someone of his character and intelligence to be president of the United States. Thank you, Donald Trump. All right. Hoax. NBC's Peter Alexander peddled the lie that constituents in some traditionally red districts were unhappy with President Trump's effort to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Fact. The same protests cited by the fake news were funded and organized by far left special interest groups. Can anyone take a guess at who those people at the top 1% might be that are pulling the strings? Not quite sure, but maybe you know. Let me know at the bottom. Hoax. NPR, National Public Radio, claimed NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, who were stuck on the International Space Station for more than 9 months following problems with their spacecraft, were not stranded. Fact. NPR itself had described the astronauts as stranded in prior reporting and only seemed to take issue with the description once President Trump and Elon Musk made it a priority to bring them home. Does that even make any... Why would NPR do that and, try to impede in any way, shape, or form, verbally or otherwise, in the public's mind that Trump and Elon Musk aren't doing everything they have already proven they got him home. So, it's behind us now. It really is disgusting how NPR works. I mean, I can't blame the president for wanting to defund them. Hoax. A foreign fake news outlet reported that President Trump shut down the British Prime Minister during a news conference. Fact. In reality, President Trump was simply moving on from a reporter who was trying to goad the two leaders into division. Why does the leftist media, or fake news, always try to create division anywhere they can, starting with Trump because they're closest to him and they really don't care about us because we're insignificant compared to Trump. You make Trump division with everybody in the world and you can control things again, maybe. I don't know what they think. The fake news, the fake media, the garbage news, it's disgusting. All I know is that they are doing things they shouldn't be doing, but they keep doing them anyway. The fake news attempted to paint illegal immigrant gang member Kilmar Abrigo Garcia as an innocent Maryland father who was unjustly deported by the Trump administration and actively censored the truth about him. Fact. Abrigo Garcia is a citizen of El Salvador and was deported to his home country amid overwhelming evidence of his gang affiliation. Next hoax. Deranged filmmaker Michael Moore, I'm sure some of you can look him up, Moore, questioned whether deported illegal immigrants would go on to cure cancer or stop that asteroid, sick, that's going to hit us. Fact, Moore's statement was a strong early contender for the dumbest, most ridiculous statement of the year, considering those deported illegal immigrants were violent criminals. Hoax. The fake news portrayed Mohammed Khalil, a pro-Hamas radical who led violent protests at Columbia, as an innocent graduate student with an absolute right to remain in the U.S. Fact, an immigration judge ruled Khalil, who is not a U.S. citizen, can be deported. Now, why would a judge do that, since the judges have been trying to slow Donald Trump down and everything good that Donald Trump is trying to do for our country? Interesting, folks. Interesting. Plenty of food for thought. Oh boy. The Financial Times reported that senior White House counselor Peter Navarro wanted to remove Canada from the Five Eyes intelligence sharing network. Fact, Mr. Navarro immediately shut down this fake story. Hoax. A foreign fake news reporter claimed President Trump referred to European nations as parasites. President Trump immediately pushed back on this ridiculous claim, as did the Italian Prime Minister. Hoax. Fake news. CNN, Brianna Kihler implied the Trump administration was somehow wrong for stopping illegal immigrants from stealing taxpayer dollars in the form of welfare benefits. Fact, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller summarily embarrassed her with the facts. The federal government will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars, and that's what Americans expect to happen. I don't even fathom the premise of your question, he said to Brianna Kihler. I think she's full of herself and full of CNN, and she's under the cabal. You can see the strings attached to her. Hoax. A favorite refrain of the fake news is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is anti-vaccine. Fact, Kennedy debunked the lie in his confirmation hearings. This has been repeatedly debunked. Bringing this up right now is dishonest. Hoax. Wired falsely claimed the Social Security Administration is shifting its public communication exclusively to X under President Trump. Not happening. The fact is, it's not happening. Hoax. Rutgers falsely reported that the Trump administration stalled a United Nations program in Mexico aimed at stopping imported fentanyl chemicals from reaching the country's drug cartels. The fact, the Department of State is actually trying to expand the initiative. Yeah, we want to stop fentanyl, folks. That's really what we want to do. And, we have a war out on these cartels and these people that are making these drugs and trying to traffic them to the United States. It's just deplorable what they're doing. One of Hilliary Clinton's favorite names, the deplorables. But it's when you gotta understand, when these Democrats talk, they're really projecting what they are themselves. They're just obnoxious deplorables, and it's not that I'm not being original. It's them, originating what they are themselves. It's projection. Look up projection, like a psychological projection. They're projecting what they are on us, but we're not. Have faith, folks. Fact. The fake news frequently pushed the lie that as part of the Trump administration, Secretary Kennedy would implement a national abortion ban and restrict or even ban medication abortion without a single act of Congress. Fact, Secretary Kennedy consistently pledged to implement President Trump's policies, which include leaving abortion to the states, ending barbaric late-term abortions, protecting conscientious objections, and ending federal funding for abortions. Hoax. Fake news savant Tara Palmieri. falsely reported that President Trump's proposal for Gaza was conceived by Jared Kushner. Fact, this lie was immediately and summarily debunked by the Trump administration. The worst reporter in America makes up fake news for clout because she has no real sources. Sit down, dummy. This is right on the White House website under their articles, so I'm not, trying to insult anybody. It's just how it's written, and I guess these people deal with this on a day-to-day basis. So, we got to give them some latitude, because imagine how much the White House is attacked today because it's a Republican White House, and the Democrats do nothing but boom, 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 shoot, ask questions later. I mean, literally. Okay. Hoax. A physicians advocacy group was widely cited as opposing President Trump's nomination of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Fact, the advocacy group was really an AstroTurf partisan organization funded by prominent left-wing donors and accepted fake signatures. Now, how could they do that? Go think. Hoax. Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat, Virginia, and other Democrats pushed the lie that Doge posted classified information on their website. The fact, that alleged classified information was really just an employment headcount, which has been publicly available for years. Hoax. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat, Florida, claimed Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem called all Venezuelan immigrants dirtbags. Do you really think she would do that? Well, you think Kristi Noem would call them dirtbags? Fact, Secretary Noem actually called illegal immigrant members of the vicious Tren de Aragua gang dirtbags, which is true. There you go. The hoax. The New York Times wrote that Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wanted to ban fluoride in drinking water and reverse one of the most important public health practices in the country's history. Fact, New York Times made no mention of their own reporting that fluoride may be linked to lower IQ scores in children. Hoax. Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat, New York, old man, I guess he's pretty much ready for retirement, repeatedly lied about President Trump's going after Social Security. Fact, President Trump has repeatedly pledged to protect Social Security and make it more robust for American citizens. Hoax. Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat, Arizona, attempted to scare veterans by shamelessly claiming their care was in jeopardy due to layoffs at VA hospitals. Fact, the lie was debunked by Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. What changes are you talking about? We've not had those layoffs. I put $360 million back into community care. It's concerning to me that a veteran would actually tell stories to veterans that are not true. Now, why would they do that? Boy, they got to keep their strings and they want to take control. The cabal, the 1%. They want to make sure those strings are attached and they're running the world. And their opinion is the only opinion that matters. Hoax. Representative Jasmine Crockett, and we all know her, she's a Democrat from Texas, exploited the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport plane crash tragedy by claiming President Trump froze the hiring of air traffic controllers. Fact, air traffic controllers were exempt from the federal hiring freeze. Hoax. Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat, Texas again, implied that cutting members of an aviation advisory committee was somehow a cause of the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport plane crash tragedy. Fact, the advisory group the advisory group hadn't met since 2023 and was comprised of business and union leaders who gave advice to the TSA and had nothing to do with the actual air travel. Hoax. A far-left writer claimed Elon Musk and Doge staffers illegally installed a commercial server to control federal HR databases that contained sensitive personal information, including social security numbers, home addresses, and medical histories. Fact? A top official confirmed there's nothing illegal and no server, just more made-up tall tales from uninformed career bureaucrats. Now, you do understand that. It's just the bureaucrats want you to believe the worst of the Republicans because that Republicans actually practice democracy. Democrats are bureaucrats. The way they have done it. I mean, think about all the people that were Democrats that left and came over to be Republicans. I mean, you could probably name them in Trump's administration alone, including Elon Musk. Wow, man. Online liberal activists claimed President Trump took down President Obama's portrait in the White House. Fact, Obama's portrait was not taken down. It was simply moved only feet away from its previous location. Hoax. Senator Mazie Hirono, Democrat Hawaii, claimed Attorney General Pam Bondi created a weaponizing task force. Fact. It was a task force to end weaponization at the Department of Justice. I mean, you do know the difference, right? You Democrats, anyone that's a Democrat that works in the high administration or representatives or Congress or Senate, you do know the difference, right? Weaponizing. Do you remember Joe Biden and all you Democrats and how things like Adam Schiff and everybody went after Trump and all the lies? And you're still unable to be honest about it? It's ridiculous. It's just utterly ridiculous. I mean, the facts are there, but yet you keep on looking for problems with Donald Trump when the problems were in the Democrat administration. And they still are. They're still coming after. They still want to shut Trump down and shut down his administration and everybody, all his cabinet members and everything they can do to overturn things. They think that they're going to, and I hope to God the people are listening to my program today, whether I know they are or they're not, and they say to themselves, we're not going to turn the House and Senate back over to the Democrats. We can't afford that. We have to go for years. But with as long as the Republicans want to maintain for the people, that's the direction we want to go. We don't want to go bought by the top organizations. We want an administration and Congress and Senate to implement programs that help the people. Trump has just asked us to be patient and wait, and I believe it. I believe that good things will come, but we will see. But I encourage you to vote and make sure you vote in every way you can to keep the Republicans in charge. And, in the mid-break, the 2-year break that's coming up, because the Democrats think they're going to be able to spend money and buy it back. I hope to God they can't. CBS News reported that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth ordered a makeup studio be installed inside the Pentagon. Fact, it was a totally fake story, and the alleged studio was really an existing green room with no frills. Hoax. Politico reported the Trump administration was debating lifting sanctions on Russian energy assets, including the Nord Stream pipeline. Fact, this was debunked by both Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Hoax. An illegal immigrant in U.S. custody simply disappeared, the New York Times reported. Fact, the illegal immigrant was a confirmed member of the vicious Tren de Aragua gang. And an immigration judge ordered his removal, and he was deported along with other threats to national security. The fake news. what they will do, what they will say, the lies they will tell. And that female reporter from CNN, I personally am disgusted by her. I am like, she's just, I don't know what she thinks she's all about or what she thinks she can do for America. But do you understand ratings? If you don't, it's how many, thousands of people are watching your network at any given time. And CNN and MSNBC are all down in the dump. They really are losing traction because they are coming against the voters' will. The voters, thank you, God, chose Donald Trump and his administration and his cabinet. And CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, and all these other organizations think by going against him, they're doing a good thing, a good service. But you know who they're doing a good service for? The cabal. That's pretty much it. You got to watch out who's trafficking your children and pedophiles and drug cartels. And we got to stop this stuff. And there's no better person than Donald Trump and his administration, folks. We've got to do it. Hoax. The Wall Street Journal alleged that special envoy Steve Witkoff was receiving sensitive information on a personal phone while in Moscow, and that Russian intelligence must have had access to the information. In fact, this was a total fabrication. Special envoy Witkoff did not even have a personal phone with him in Russia. He had only a government phone, a secure line of communication. It's just endless BS, folks. The Democrats will endlessly tell you BS because they want to hook, they want to get you, they want to make you think bad about the Republicans. Hang in there, folks. We're going to be doing the right thing, the tariffs, all this. Good stuff. It's coming. I hope it works. I really hope it works. And I know that it's supposed to work, and he wants it to work with all his heart and soul. He loves our country. He's not out to destroy it, and he does care, and he's not out for himself and all the rich, as so many ignorant news outlets would like to portray that he is. Hoax. Wall Street Journal claimed the Trump administration sought to portray deported criminal illegal immigrant gang member Kilmore Abrego Garcia as violent. Fact, Abrego Garcia, his own wife, filed an order of protection against him and testified that he brutally beat her. How do you just pretend that didn't happen? Leave it to the Democrats. Hoax. An AP reporter claimed that FAA staff who worked on radar landing and navigational and aid maintenance, among others, were harassed on Facebook by Doge. The fact, that was a total lie. Doge doesn't have a Facebook page, and no professionals who perform critical safety functions were fired. Hoax. The Daily Beast claimed Vice President J.D. Vance broke one of the most notorious Vatican rules during his Easter weekend visit. Boy, do I remember this. Fake news really blew this one up. By being photographed in the Sistine Chapel. Oh my God. Fact. Buried all the way down in the 14th paragraph, the Daily Beast admitted the vice president was given special permission by the Vatican to have photographs taken inside the Sistine Chapel. 14th paragraph. So they headlined it. They told you all the BS. And then way deep down in there where you might not even get a chance to read because this is exhausting. JD did this? That's all they care that you said. They don't want you to see the truth, for God's sakes. Hoax. Left-wing social media accounts promoted fake AI-generated audio of Vice President Vance disparaging Elon Musk in private. Fact. The audio was debunked as fake. Hoax. The New York Times reported that funding for the Women's Health Initiative was being slashed by the Department of Health and Human Services. Fact. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. himself declared this fake news and recognized the project is mission critical. Enough said? Thank you, Tyrus. Hoax. Fox News' Jennifer Griffin gave legitimacy to a hoax from delusional reps. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat Florida, and Rosa DeLauro, Democrat Connecticut, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegsworth requested nearly $140,000 in upgrades to his government residence. Fact? The lie was debunked by Secretary Hegsworth, and it was so outrageous, even the AP was forced to admit it was completely fake. I mean, do you see the pattern here? They're somehow able to get away with all this stuff, and they're counting on your short-term memory to not remember stuff and not read long enough to see the truth. So they're hoping that you'll miss it and you'll just believe the worst of Trump and his administration and his cabinet members. It's not true. They're just liars. The Democrats are liars in Congress. The Democrats are liars in the Senate. They just lie and they create hoaxes and they start trouble just because they want the power and control. They are the oligarchs. As Bernie Sanders wants to go chase Trump down as an oligarch and making all the money go to him. But it's the Democrats that have the large, rich benefactors. Unreal. Hoax. Joe Biden accused the Trump administration of taking aim at Social Security. Fact, as usual, he was lying. President Trump was repeatedly pledged to protect Social Security. Repeatedly. Trump will protect Social Security. Hoax. Representative Ro Khanna, K-H-A-N-N-A, Democrat, California, claimed the arrest of Milwaukee judge who helped an illegal immigrant evade arrest was unprecedented. Fact, it wasn't. It has happened before. Really? Does anybody know that it happened before? Has anybody questioned whether it happened before? Does anybody think that judges are above the law? Wow. It staggers the imagination that judges and mayors and secretaries and this and that and the other thing, they all think they're above the law. They're not. And trust me, between Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, there's going to be a lot of handcuffs going around. Hoax. Senator Tammy Baldwin, Democrat, Wisconsin, called the arrest of a Milwaukee judge who helped an illegal immigrant evade arrest a gravely serious and drastic move. Fact, the judge violated the law by obstructing an ICE arrest of an illegal immigrant. Why would you do that if you know it's against the law and you're a judge? Hello? Wake up! Hoax. Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat, Minnesota, claimed the arrest of the Milwaukee judge who obstructed an apprehension of a criminal illegal immigrant threatens the rule of law. Oh my God. Fact, it literally does the opposite because no one is above the law. Didn't I just say that? The rule of law. What are the Democrats trying to tell us? That judges are above the law? That's the rule of law? Is that what they're trying to tell us? Well, we don't have to believe it, you know. So no one is above the law. Thank God. Really, thank God. Hoax. Politico claimed the Trump administration wiped out firefighter health and safety programs. Whoa. Fact, the programs remain a top priority for the administration and will remain intact. I mean, how can they lie about everything? Everything. Hoax. Senator Elizabeth Warren, is she an Indian or not? I really don't know. Does she drink beer too? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, how did she get all her money? I mean, what's the secret to her working in her job in the government and be worth so many millions of dollars? I don't understand personally, but maybe you do, and maybe you can let everybody else know too. That President Trump's policies make it so no one wants to make investments in the United States. Fact. President Trump has secured more than $5 trillion in investments since taking office, which is expected to create more than 451,000 new jobs, and the list is only expected to grow. Jobs for everybody! If you can work, you're not disabled, there's going to be a job for you. That's the way I'm looking at it. And if you can't get to the job and you need training, there's an education waiting for you, and then you can get to the job. So get your horses together and saddle up. Hoax. NBC's Kristen Welker peddled a fake news hoax that the Trump administration was deporting children. Oh my God. What could be further from the truth? Fact. Secretary of State Marco Rubio shut down her desperate attempt at a hoax by highlighting how the mother, who was in the country illegally, made that choice all on her own. Hoax. The New York Times implied President Trump was alone in wearing a blue suit to the funeral of Pope Francis. Fact. Photos show dozens of world leaders and other attendees, many situated near President Trump, also wearing blue clothing. I guess it was optional, folks. But the point is, our president went to show his respects, and Trump always looks good. He's always dressed nice. And so is Melania. They are dressed impeccable. They're good, well-groomed people, along with their kids. Hoax. Teachers union boss Randy Weingarten accused President Trump of taking teachers' salaries and giving them to billionaires by cutting the Department of Education. Fact. President Trump has repeatedly called teachers the most important people in this country, who should be paid more, not less. The federal government does not pay the salaries of teachers. State and local governments do. I wonder why he made sure and shut down the National Board of Education. That's what he's working on. And he's turning it all over to the states since they control the money to the teachers. Maybe they can get a grip on things and students can actually be invested in and get an education and get higher scores in math and reading and all that good stuff. Wouldn't that be nice? Democrats' lies. It just floors me in my stomach. Oh, God. Hoax. The fake news and their predictable allies ran with a story that claimed an American citizen was detained by authorities after he informed them he was, in fact, a citizen. Fact. That's not what happened. The individual approached Border Patrol in Tucson and stated he had entered the U.S. illegally through Nogales. He said he wanted to turn himself in and completed a sworn statement identifying as a Mexican citizen who had entered unlawfully. A few days later, his family presented documents showing U.S. citizenship. The charges were dismissed and he was released to his family. The truth smells so good. Hoax. PBS, or the Public Broadcasting System, news claim Doge operatives attempted to gain access to secure spaces, implying they attempted to access classified information without approval. Fact. This wasn't even remotely true. Hoax. The AP falsely claimed Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, said President Trump is very good friends with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Fact. The AP was humiliatingly forced to retract its story, admitting they were wrong. Stephanie Ruhle also had to issue a correction. DNI Gabbard was referencing President Trump's relationship with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Hoax. Student visa holders should have unfettered access to do whatever they want in the United States. Really? Fact. Wrong. As Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, when you apply to enter the United States and you get a visa, you are a guest. Act accordingly. If I go into a country, I am expected to know the rules of what those countries expect. And if I violate them, then I can be held accountable by their rules because I'm out of this country and I'm in their country and their rules apply. So when you're in our country, our rules apply to you if you're a foreigner. If you tell us when you apply for a visa, I'm coming to the U.S. to participate in pro-Hamas events, that runs counter to the foreign policy interests of the United States. If you had told us you were going to do that, we never would have given you the visa in the first place. Folks, you have basically seen the entire page that has come from the White House. I've read you everything that's on that page, and I really hope to God that it helped you and that you will consider what I read and understand. I emphasized it as best I could, not just for dramatic effect, but the reality of it is so potent. Democrats lie. Republicans are telling the truth. Democrats want you to believe Republicans are lying, and they aren't telling the truth. See, they muddy the waters, the Democrats muddy the waters so that you can't tell who's telling the truth, and then you get so tired of it, you say, I don't even give a darn. I'm tired of this. Let them fight over it themselves. Well, guess what? Our vote still counts. We're going to be voting again, in a year and a half or a little over that. And we're going to be, putting in new Congress members and maybe, Senate. I'm not sure what races are going to be running, but what I do know is that we got to keep it Republican. And I hope this message gets out there. I hope people share it. I hope that we do whatever it takes to maintain the House and the Senate. And we support President Trump with all our hearts because we voted for him. 75% of us voted for him. And we want him to do what he promised he was going to do. And we see him like the strong, fatherly person he is, with the intelligence of a businessman, doing what he promised to do. And I am so excited about our future and our children's future and our children's children's future. Let him stay. Let it win. When let's say he retires from running for president, I don't know about this 2028 stuff, but if he doesn't run, he will pick somebody that he thinks should run. And that person that he picks is most likely the person that is going to follow the same agenda that's already been put in place that will keep America great. Just remember that. Because we have to keep America great once it totally gets there, and we're absolutely sure it made it. But we have to have faith right now, and we get faith by praying to God. So when God was asked, how do I pray? Way back then, he said, say this prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.